Hey, everybody, this is Coach Carlos, and you know what time it is. It's that time of the week where my goal is to give you one quick tip on Sunday that you can implement on Monday. And the goal is to give you some tips to help you de-stress as an instructional expert. So when you go into the classroom, you can engage not only your students, but your parents, your colleagues, transform school culture the best way we can. And my goal is just to be one of your partners, just someone who can give you something else to put in your toolkit, your instructional toolkit. I already know you got a lot of tools, but couldn't we all use one more? Particularly if there's something easy to implement. I'm not talking about overhauling the whole system, just something easily that you don't have to get budget approval for. So before we get into today's quick tip, you guys know I travel, I train, and this weekend I had an opportunity to just an opportunity to work with a great group of people. I love what I do. So when I'm working with people, when I'm working with educators who love what they do, or we have fun. When I work with corporations who love what they do, we can have fun. Well, this week I had a chance to work with a company who loves what they do. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the name they gave me a shirt, a hat, and everything. The name of the company is About Play. Now, they are educational interventionists, so they go into young people's homes, and these are young people who have been diagnosed with disabilities, and they go in to help parents work with their young people so they can be prepared for school. I mean, just a great company with a great mission. And everybody from the CEO, the CFO, the HR department, their EIs, everybody were just great people. So I enjoyed having them out. I enjoyed being with them, and I thank them for having me out there. Without further ado, let's jump into our quick tip for today. Well, the best way for me to illustrate this is you guys know this is a pillow, right? Soft. This is a rock. Where there is a range between a rock and a pillow. Well, our personalities are like that too. I give you another example. In basketball, people have range. People have short range, mid-range jumpers. They lay them up. Or you got Stephen Curry, who's all the way back, way behind the three-point range. Range. Or if we're in singing, we're talking about somebody who has that octave range that can go from high to low. Mariah Carey, Minnie Riperton, Luther Vandross. I mean, people who have that range with their voice. Well, as instructional professionals, educational experts in the classroom, we have to have personality-wise, we have to have a range. However, I run into a lot of people who their personality is a rock. They are rock hard in the way they educate kids. You will, you shall, you won't, you will. I mean, it is rock hard. That's the way they train. That's the way they teach. That's their personality. And then sometimes you run into people who soft as a pillow. How you doing, kids? Nice to see you. Sweet all the time. Now, if your range is hard as a rock, you're going to have some trouble with some kids. If your range is only the pillow, you're going to have some trouble with some kids. Because children are going to come to you with a range also. And if you've ever read any of Dr. Dobson's books where he talks about the range of personalities with children, and he talks about the range from a compliant child to the range of a strong-willed child. Now, if you're a parent out there, you know what I mean. If you got multiple children, you've got some children who are strong-willed, some children who are compliant, who are just, yes, mommy, what would you like me to do? Or you have those other ones where you're going to have to show them that you bad enough to make them do it. Because they're strong-willed. They're resolute in what they believe in. And they argue up and down. But we have students like that too. So here's what I'd like you to do. Take a second today. Remember, this is a tip on Sunday for implementation on Monday. Do it today or tomorrow. Get in there early. Take your student roster and go down that roster and put a C for compliant, put an SW for strong will. C for compliant, SW for strong will. And then sit back and look at the personality composition of your class, and see if you have more strong-willed students than compliant students. Now, if it comes out that you have a huge group of strong-willed kids, let me ask you, what teacher works best with a group of strong-willed kids? Is it the rock personality of a teacher? Or is someone soft as a pillow? Think about that for a second. Get your roster. Go down your roster and just say, oh, Rodney, he's strong-willed. Damon, strong-willed. Sydney, compliant. Debbie, compliant. Just take a look at the composition of your roster and your personality. After you looked at your core personality, and I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, I can go either way. Yeah, I know you can. We all can. But what's your core personality? Are you a rock? Or are you a pillow? Are you very strict with accountability? Or are you more compassionate? Accountability, compassion. Accountability, compassion. Now, the master teachers have a range. They go from accountability, compassion. And when I'm training, I encourage teachers to be able to find a happy medium between compassion, and accountability. Because depending on the makeup of your class, if you've got a lot of strong-willed kids and you are heavy on accountability, you're going to wrestle with engaging your students. You're going to fight with engaging your kids because you got strong-willed kids, but you all about accountability. But you got strong-willed kids, but you all about accountability. That's going to be a fight. But if your core personality is compliant or compassion, and you have compliant kids, or I'm sorry, you've got your core personality is that you are compassion and you have compliant kids, that might work well for you. But there are sometimes you've got to be able to pour on the accountability because you can't be soft all the times. Sometimes you got to push the students. But as a master teacher, you know how to go from compassion to accountability. Accountability, compassion. You have that range. But when you look at your roster tomorrow and you realize you have a lot of compliant kids, meet them where they are. But you have to know when to give them accountability because you have to be able to push them. When you have a lot of strong-willed students, you've got to know when to be compassionate. You can't just meet them with your accountability. Strong will, accountability. You like this all the time. And who's going to win? On the surface, the person with the most authority is going to win, which is the adult. And what you're going to do is be moving kids out of class. We're talking about engaging kids so that they will love to be in your class. I'm not saying you got to be soft all the time. I'm saying have a range. You got to have a range from accountability to compassion. Because if you've got a classroom full of compliant to strong-willed kids, you got to know when to turn it on, when to pull the reins back. So today's tip, I ask you, tomorrow, go in there, try that. Just go down your roster, every class, compliant kids, strong-willed kids, compliant kids, strong-willed kids, and sit back and see. Because they set the tone of the culture of your room. If you have a bunch of compliant kids, they want to do whatever the teacher says. If you got a bunch of strong-willed kids, they sitting back just saying, okay, well, bring it. Show me what you got. I don't want to just know what you know. I want to know that you can reach me. If you're going to teach me, can you reach me? That's what strong-willed kids are asking. They may not be articulate enough to say that, but they're trying to say, okay, what you got? Show me what you got. The compliant kid is just like, what can I do to please the teacher? I don't want her calling mommy. I don't want her calling daddy. That's what compliant kids do. But strong-willed kids are like, bring it. Show me what you're working with. And if all you got is accountability, you're going to do what I tell you to do because I know, it's just going to be a struggle. You got to have range. You got to have range, that Minnie Riperton range, that Luther Vandross range. You got to have that Mariah Carey range. You got to be able to go compassionate to accountability. Compassion, accountability. And that way, you meet everybody's needs in the class. You can engage everybody on the level that they need to be engaged. Or do you just want to stay the rock? I'm the adult. You all are the children. You're going to do what I tell you to do, the way I want you to do it, and when you want to do it. Now, if that's the personality you want to hold on to, you're going to have some kids that you're going to beat into submission, yes, and they are going to do what you say. But is that what you really want? Because you may be the teacher that turns them off from learning. Now, am I saying you can't be stern, you can't be firm, you can't have rules, you can't have regulations? Don't hear Coach Carlos saying that. I ain't saying that in this short tip. I'm saying you got to have range, compassion, accountability, and then know when to apply it, who to give it to. Compliant kids, you can't beat them into the ground. Strong-willed kids, you can't beat them into the ground because they're going to be like, all right, well, bring it. We don't need that. You're already an adult. You won. You got a job. You have already won. The victory is yours. You ain't trying to get no battle with no child. That's crazy. Right? So assess yourself. What's your core personality? Accountability? Compassion? Or do you have that range? Can you swing? Do you know when to apply it? How to apply it? And check out your kids. Is the core group of your class compliant? Are they strong-willed? And know when to apply what? All right? This is Coach Carlos. Try that tomorrow. It's the tip for Sunday for you to implement on Monday. Be blessed and powerful.
Coach Carlos. Coach Carlos.